Welcome to the YouTube channel for my new book, Seed of Israel, DNA Guide to Tracing Your Jewish Ancestry, available on Amazon in eBook and paperback versions. Links to order your copies are below. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get more videos like this. This video I want to follow up on a previous video that I made a few days ago about the Moabites. And the reason I made that video about the Moabites was because of a recent article that was published in the journal Levant about the deciphering of an inscription that was a part of an artifact that was found at an archaeological excavation in Jordan, and that inscription possibly includes the first written use of the word Hebrews, because the Moabites, the kingdom of Moab, was often at conflict, according to the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh. They were often in conflict with the Israelite nation. And as you can see from this map, they were very close together. So not only were they geographically close, the kingdom of Moab was on the eastern side of the Dead Sea. The kingdom of Judah was on the western side of the Dead Sea. So not only geographically, but also they were basically the same ethnic stock, according to the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh, because the kingdom of Moab descended from a Hebrew patriarch, Lot. But as I'm going to show you in this video, something that I left out of the previous video were a couple of other kingdoms in the region, and a couple of other Iron Age kingdoms in the region that were also very closely related to the Israelites. And those two kingdoms were the kingdom of the Ammonites, and also the kingdom of Edom, the Edomites. And I'm going to briefly just go into a little bit of history, put those two kingdoms in a historical context. So, according to the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, Abraham's nephew Lot had two daughters, who this happened in the aftermath of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, according to the Hebrew Bible. So maybe they thought they were the last people on earth and they needed to repopulate the planet. But his two daughters got him drunk and then had sex with him to get pregnant. They had incestuous relations with their father, Lot, and the offspring of this incestuous relation. These incestuous relations were two sons, Moab and Ben Ami, and they were both born to Lot and Lot's elder and younger daughters, respectively. So the Moabites descended from Moab, and the Ammonites descended from Ben Ami, and that's according to Genesis 19:30 to 38. The Tanakh describes the Edomites as descendants of Esau, the elder son of the Hebrew patriarch Isaac, and that's according to Genesis 36:9. So according to the biblical account, the Israelites, Moabites, Ammonites, and Edomites were of the same ethnic stock. So basically, very similar, Semitic speaking tribes, Iron Age tribal people in the Levant region. So yeah, and the capital of the Iron Age kingdom of Ammon was Rabbah, or Rabat Ammon, which was located in modern day Amman, which is the capital of Jordan. And so yeah, the Ammonite heartland comprised the north central Transjordanian plateau, encircled by the upper Jabbok, within a 12.5 mile radius of its capital at the headwaters of the Jabbok. And the primary deity of the Ammonites was the god Milcom. And although they could have worshipped a couple of gods, Milcom and Molech, so they might be the same. There might be a couple gods, but those gods are named in the Hebrew Bible as the gods of Ammon. So, just like the people of the kingdom, just like the people the Israelites called the children of Israel, The Ammonites are called the children of Ammon, or Ammonites. So I'm not going to get into the whole, history of the Ammonites and their, relations with the Israelites. But I will say it wasn't all conflict. There were, sometimes marriages between the Israelite men and Ammonite and also Moabite women that took place in the days of Nehemiah. The Ammonites spoke a Semitic language belonging to the Canaanite family, which is closely related to Hebrew and Moabite. Might have incorporated some Aramaic influences. And so see if I can find a little bit more on the Ammonites here. But while I did say that some Israelites did marry Ammonites, they were forbidden according to the Hebrew Testament. And one of those Israelites that did not follow that law, and the reason they weren't permitted to is because according to the Hebrew Bible, the Ammonites followed false gods, and the two that I mentioned, which is possibly one, they did not follow the national god of the Israelites, Yahweh. So, but King Solomon would not follow that. King Solomon would disobey this teaching, according to 1 Kings 14:21, and but we know he had, Solomon had a very big harem. So the Ammonites were known as very violent people. I won't go into the specifics. Well, I'll go into one specific. One Ammonite leader planned, according to as part of a treaty, planned to gouge out the right eye of every Israelite as part of that treaty, and that was according to 1 Samuel 11:2. And the scripture also states the Ammonites would rip open pregnant women and lands they had conquered, according to Amos 1:13. So, it says that the first Jewish king, King Saul, defeated the Ammonites, made them his servants. They later regained power, yet would be defeated along with many other nations under King Nebuchadnezzar in the 7th century BCE. A man named Tobiah the Ammonite is mentioned in Nehemiah 2:19 at the end of the Hebrew Testament period, 400s BCE. And the last mention of the Ammonites is outside of the Bible was by Justin Martyr, and who wrote in the 2nd century CE that the Ammonites were numerous. So it could have been that the Ammonites would probably have been absorbed into Arab society within a few centuries. So that's a little bit about the Ammonites. So what about the Edomites? Well, the Edomites were also traditionally the enemies of the Israelites, but again, they were close relations. They were cousins. They were same ethnic stock. So the Edomites were the descendants of Esau, as I mentioned earlier, who often battled the Jewish nation. And Edom stretched, it was in the southeast area, as you can see on the map, and it stretched from the Red Sea at Elath to the Dead Sea, and encompassed very much of Israel's fertile land. And so the Edomites attacked Israel under Saul's rulership. King David would later defeat the rogue nation, annexing their land. At the fall of the first temple, the Edomites attacked Judah and looted the temple, accelerating its destruction. The Edomites were later forcibly converted to Judaism by John Hyrcanus, and then later became an active part of the Jewish people. Famous Edomites included Herod, who built the second temple. And Herod was, I believe his mother was an Edomite. I believe his father was a Nabatean. So let's see if we can find out a little bit more about the Edomites here. They were located in Transjordan between Moab to the northeast, the Arabah to the west, and the Arabian Desert to the south and east. I mentioned Iron Age, but also late Bronze Age. They were mentioned according to the Hebrew Bible and Egyptian and Mesopotamian records. In classical antiquity, the cognate name Idumea was used for a similar area in the general region, and I believe that was a Greek term. Let's see. Yeah, Edomia, Greek, was a Greek term. So there's some different interpretations of how the Edom got its name. Now, the word Edom in Hebrew means red. It says it's derived from its founder Esau, the elder son of the Hebrew patriarch Isaac, because he was born, quote, red all over, unquote. As a young adult, he sold his birthright to his brother Jacob for, quote, red pottage, unquote. The Tanakh describes the Edomites as descendants of Esau. But there are some other interpretations as to why it is called Edom. Herod the Great, an Edomian father, and a Nabatean mother. According to this website, livius.org, it was founded in the Bronze Age, Edom, and it says it's probably a reference to the colors of the Seir Mountains, east of the Wadi al-Arabah, S-E-I-R, Seir Mountains. It says that the name was already used for a recognizable political unit in the Bronze Age, can be deduced from Egyptian text. And so a document that has been quoted to prove this is the 14th century Armana letter, number 256, which indeed refers to an Ardumu. The identification with Edom, however, is almost certainly incorrect. The town of Udumu appears to have been east of Lake Galilee. There's less doubt about the reference to the Sasu nomads from Edom, who during the reign of Meremptah, 1213 to 1203, were allowed to enter the kingdom of the Nile. These nomads are mentioned in several other texts which do not specifically connect them to Edom. Nonetheless, the Sasu from Edom are interesting because they not only illustrate that in the late Bronze Age there were nomadic Edomites, but also that there were nomadic exchange from the eastern to the western Sinai Desert. And the stories about Moses and the wandering Hebrews are situated against this background. It was only in the 9th and 8th centuries that the Edomites became partly sedentary. So, let's see if we find anything else on the Edomites, and I'll wrap up the video here. So, let's see. Yeah, so as I said, I mentioned the Seir S-E-I-R, the Seir Mountains. It's possibly the reference to the name Edom. And that was part of the lands of the Edomites, and that's the Seir is according to Joshua 24:4. Also, Basra was part of the land of the Edomites, according to Isaiah 63:1, and Salah, according to 2 Kings 14:7. And Salah is better known today as Petra, the ancient Nabatean city, which was also an Edomite city before the Nabateans. And it says basically the name Edom comes from a Semitic word meaning red, and the land south of the Dead Sea was given that name because of the red sandstone so prominent in the topography. It says Esau, because of the soup for which he traded his birthright, became known as Edom, and later moved his family into the hill country of the same name. There are some different theories about that. It's all related to red because Edom means red, but was it the red landscape, the red Seir Mountains, the red kind of ruddy skin of Esau, the red soup that he traded for which he traded his birthright? Different theories about where the Edom, or maybe it's all of them. or none of them. So let's see. See if we can find. Check out one more website about Edom. See if we find any other interesting facts or figures or historical context. Yeah, I mean that was Genesis 25:25. As I mentioned earlier, it said Esau was considered kind of red and hairy. There are the Edomites were eventually disappear from history, just as the Moabites and the Ammonites did. And one of the last mentions of the Edomians was a reference to the land of Idumea by the church leader Jerome around 400 CE. So that's a little bit about the Ammonites and the Edomites. So in addition to the Moabites, they were all very closely related to the Israelites. And according to the biblical account, they basically come from the same ethnic stock. Thanks for watching.